What would happen if Tanjiro fought every single Upper Moon in Demon Slayer? Who could he defeat? And who would overpower him? Well, that's a really interesting question to look at, as Tanjiro didn't really fight any big demon in 1 vs 1. He's always had help in the manga. To answer this question, I've broken it down into 4 levels of Tanjiro's strength. So let's start with his weakest level and his basic form. Would he even have a chance against 1 Upper Moon in this stage? Well, Tanjiro's level 1 form is the Episode 1 Tanjiro. In this form, he basically has 0 training, no knowledge of Demon Slayer techniques, and essentially no combat experience. Against any Upper Moon, he'd be completely outmatched. But let's consider the weaker Upper Moons to see if there's any chance for him. The first demon Tanjiro might face is Upper Moon 6, specifically Daki. Daki has powerful abilities. However, Daki is overconfident and often underestimates her opponents. A young and inexperienced Tanjiro might momentarily surprise her with his sheer willpower and determination, potentially even dodging a few of her attacks. But with no sword techniques and no training, Daki would quickly overpower and toy with him. Even her weakest attacks would leave Tanjiro completely defeated. Next we have Gyutaro, who shares the title of Upper Moon 6 with Daki. Unlike Daki, Gyutaro is far more lethal, and his blood demon art, which allows him to manipulate his poison blood, would quickly incapacitate Tanjiro. Without training, Tanjiro would be unable to resist the poison or keep up with Gyutaro's brutal attacks, making this an easy victory for the demon. At level 1, Tanjiro wouldn't stand a chance against any Upper Moon. Even the weakest of them would utterly destroy him. But as Tanjiro grows stronger, things become more interesting. In level 2, we see Tanjiro after his 2 years of training with Uroko Daki, having mastered water breathing techniques. Now he has a better understanding of combat, and his swordsmanship has improved significantly. However, against the Upper Moons, this is still not enough. Tanjiro might face Upper Moon 5, Gyoko, a demon who uses vases to manipulate his opponents. Gyoko's ability to teleport between his vases and summon dangerous creatures makes him unpredictable. While Tanjiro's water breathing techniques give him more agility and strength, Gyoko's techniques are beyond his comprehension at this stage. Despite Tanjiro's growth, Gyoko's mastery over his blood demon art and his strategic mind would be too much for him, and Tanjiro would lose this fight. Even against Kaigaku, Upper Moon 6 in the alternate storyline, Tanjiro would struggle. Kaigaku uses thunder breathing, and his agility would overwhelm Tanjiro. Despite his mastery of water breathing, Tanjiro's attacks would be too slow and predictable, and Kaigaku's techniques would quickly overpower him. Once again, Tanjiro is outmatched. But as we move to level 3, where Tanjiro has mastered sun breathing and gained access to the transparent world, the battles begin to shift in his favor. Now, against Upper Moon 6, Gyutaro, and Daki, Tanjiro stands a much better chance. In his sun-breathing form, Tanjiro's attacks are far more powerful and refined. He's able to keep up with Gyutaro's speed and dodge his blood scythes, thanks to the transparent world. Gyutaro would be shocked at Tanjiro's ability to predict his movements, and Tanjiro would be able to sever Gyutaro's head using sun-breathing's Hinokami Kagura techniques. Similarly, Daki's Obi techniques, which once overwhelmed Tanjiro, would now be too slow to catch him. His sun-breathing forms would slice through her sashes with ease, and with his transparent world, he'd be able to dodge her long-range attacks and get in close for a finishing blow. In this form, Tanjiro would finally defeat both Daki and Gyutaro. Next, Upper Moon 5 Gyoko would also fall to level 3 Tanjiro. While Gyoko's vases and grotesque summons would make for a difficult battle, Tanjiro's mastery of sun breathing would allow him to break through Gyoko's defenses. Gyoko relies heavily on his blood demon art, but Tanjiro's increased reflexes and ability to read the transparent world would let him counter Gyoko's teleportation and eventually land a fatal blow. At this stage, Tanjiro has defeated 3 Upper Moons, but he now faces Upper Moon 4, Hantengu. This demon is unique because of his multiple personalities and the ability to split himself into different emotional forms. Each form has different strengths and abilities, making Hantengu a difficult opponent. In his level 3 form, Tanjiro would have a hard time against Hantengu's clones, especially Sekido, who controls powerful lightning attacks, and Aizetsu, whose spear attacks are both long-range and deadly. However, Tanjiro's ability to predict their attacks using Transparent World would give him an edge. While Hantengu's strategy of overwhelming his opponents with multiple versions of himself is dangerous, Tanjiro would focus on targeting the real Hantengu, hiding among the clones. His sun-breathing techniques, combined with his ability to see through Hantengu's deception, would allow him to sever Hantengu's head, securing another victory. However, Upper Moon 3 Akaza would pose a significant challenge, even to level 3 Tanjiro. Akaza's hand-to-hand combat skills are unmatched, and his ability to regenerate rapidly makes him a fearsome opponent. During their battle in the Infinity Train arc, Akaza proved to be incredibly resilient, even after Rengoku's devastating flame-breathing techniques. Against Tanjiro, Akaza would be relentless. While Tanjiro's sun-breathing and transparent world would give him a fighting chance, Akaza's combat prowess and ability to sense fighting spirit would put Tanjiro on the defensive. The two would trade blows, with Tanjiro landing a few successful hits, but ultimately, Akaza's overwhelming power and experience would would be too much. Tanjiro, even at this level, would lose to Akaza. Now we move to level 4, where Tanjiro has become his strongest. This is Tanjiro after he's unlocked the true power of the Demon Slayer mark, turned his sword red, and fully mastered all 12 forms of sun breathing. In this form, he's at his absolute peak, and the battles take on a new dynamic. In this state, Tanjiro would once again face Akaza, but this time the outcome would be different. With his red blade and enhanced strength, Tanjiro would be able to match Akaza's speed and power. The red blade, which weakens demon regeneration, would prevent Akaza from healing as quickly as before. Their fight would be fierce, but Tanjiro's mastery over sun breathing, combined with his newfound strength, would allow him to decapitate Akaza for good, winning the battle. Next, Tanjiro would face Upper Moon 2 Doma, a demon who specializes in ice techniques, and is known for his emotionless, calculating nature. Doma's blood demon art allows him to create devastating ice attacks, which would make it difficult for Tanjiro to get close. However, Tanjiro's sun-breathing techniques, which generate immense heat, would melt Doma's ice and nullify many of his attacks. Doma's regeneration would still be a major obstacle, but with his red blade, Tanjiro could land critical blows that prevent Doma from healing. The fight would be long and grueling, but Tanjiro's relentless spirit and his ability to adapt to Doma's ice techniques would give him the edge he needs. In the end, Tanjiro would manage to decapitate Doma, securing another victory. Finally, we come to the most dangerous opponent, Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo. As a former demon slayer who mastered the moon-breathing technique, Kokushibo is not only incredibly powerful, but also has centuries of battle experience. His blade techniques, combined with his ability to regenerate and his 6 eyes that grant him unparalleled perception, make him a nearly unbeatable foe. Tanjiro, even at his peak, would struggle immensely against Kokushibo. The battle would be intense, with Tanjiro using every technique at his disposal to keep up. Kokushibo's moon-breathing, which creates crescent-shaped attacks, would constantly force Tanjiro on the defensive. Even with his red blade, Tanjiro would find it difficult to land a decisive blow. The two would clash in an ultimate battle of endurance and skill, but ultimately Kokushibo's experience and mastery over his techniques would prove too much for Tanjiro. Despite his immense growth, Tanjiro would lose this battle, marking his first defeat in level 4. However, Tanjiro's journey doesn't end there. After losing to Kokushibo, Tanjiro would continue to grow stronger, pushing himself beyond his limits. While Kokushibo remains the most formidable opponent Tanjiro has ever faced, the defeat would serve as a catalyst for Tanjiro's further growth. He would analyze the battle, learn from his mistakes, and refine his techniques even more. But let's consider the ultimate scenario. Tanjiro reaching his absolute peak, beyond level 4, hypothetically pushing the Demon Slayer mark to its limits, and accessing even more refined techniques of sun breathing. With a fully mastered sun breathing and an unbreakable spirit, Tanjiro might stand a chance in a rematch against Kokushibo. In this scenario, Tanjiro would need not rely on his physical abilities. Tanjiro would need to rely not only on his physical abilities, but also on his deep connection to his family's sun-breathing legacy. By honing his techniques to perfection and combining them with everything he's learned from the Hashira, Tanjiro could land a decisive blow. The red blade would once again come into play, weakening Kokushibo's regeneration. Kokushibo, while master of moon breathing, would finally meet his match in Tanjiro's perfected form. The battle would be monumental, testing every ounce of Tanjiro's strength, willpower, and skill. In his ultimate form, Tanjiro might finally defeat Kokushibo, overcoming the last of the Upper Moons. Tanjiro's journey through the ranks of the Upper Moons is a testament to his growth as a swordsman, his unyielding resolve, and his deep connection to the Kamado family legacy. While he begins with no hope of even scratching the Upper Moons, his progression through training, battles, and self-discovery transforms him into one of the strongest demon slayers to ever live. In the last scenario, it's clear that Tanjiro's survival is the key to defeating Muzan and the Upper Moons. But what if all the demons join forces against him? Well, that's the subject of another video. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to see another cool anime video, you can check out this one that's appearing on your screen. Click on it to see. Go ahead, click it.